Hello everyone, Edain here and welcome back to the Edain mod. Today we're going to be ranking tank heroes and it's going to be a very small one today because there's honestly not a lot of actual tank heroes. Not many heroes have high survivability in fights from the get-go or through their abilities later on. And there's not a lot of characters that are actually labeled as tank heroes. I was originally going to add a few more in that had like one or two tanky options, but it was mainly a more group-wide effort, not just a singular goal. Tanks are meant to be the kind of hero that just sits at the front and can survive lots and lots of damage. Just giving a bit of a hint right here. Have just ways of constantly surviving, either through bonuses to damage, to armor on themselves, reduction in damage in their enemies, or through sustained healing. And also just other like crowd control effects to keep them in the fight. So, yep, we've got 9 total today, and we're going to be starting off with a weird one. I bet you won't be expecting this one. At number 9, we have Thorin Oakenshield. And I've got an honourable mention with Thorin Stonehelm here because in the Edain fandom wiki, Thorin Stonehelm was for some reason labelled as a tank. And I was like, okay, I can see it a little bit. The Iron Hills version at least gets armour when he loses health, so that's kind of like a tank style thing. And then he can just throw all his abilities in to do a big hero slaying move, get all his health back. But it still makes him too much of a hero slayer, so Thorin, get out of here. You're not in this list. Thorin's Oakenshield, however, has quite a few abilities that make him surprisingly tanky. But he is unfortunately at the bottom of the list for a reason, because everyone else is better than him when it comes to tankiness, and his actual role is versatility. It's just, again, he was also in the Edain fandom wiki, but I actually see a good reason for it, because one, there's Oakenshield. Thorin and nearby allies, once he gets to level 10, it's only himself before level 10, are rendered invulnerable for 10 seconds. And for everyone that remembers my heroic slaughter of the Balrog with the ring hero Thorin and my entire army getting invulnerability for about half a minute, was able to slay a Balrog, which was really fun. But yeah, that's his only real tanking ability on his screen here. You can give him Mithril Mail for more health and armor. But to be fair, every dwarf hero can get that, and I'm not listing every single dwarf hero in this just because they can get Mithril Mail to make themselves a little bit tankier. But yeah, what actually gives Thorin a bit more tankiness is in his summons, Feely and Keely. In their Thorin's clan abilities at passive, they give their fellow kinsman, their brother and cousin, damage or armor, as well as nearby archers. Don't know why, it's just a thing. But yeah, an extra 10% damage and armor if both of them are nearby Thorin and, you know, other archers. But then there's also the Travelling Fair, 1000 hit points for all 3 of them if they're all together. But I'm not doing this evaluation on things like summons, so Feely and Keely unfortunately get a bit of a side note. But Thorin is still a good hero in all. Even at level 10, he's got 7,000 health on his own. And let's see how well he does against 3 unupgraded Ered Luin Guardian units. Give him the Gleam of the Arkenstone, so he does even more damage, even though he doesn't really need to. But you know, he also just freezes everyone in fear, so that's good. And, you know, that's a fast attack speed, so he's got decent everything. Not got AoE attacks though, no kind of knockback. So when it comes to actually fighting, he is, as it says on the tin, a versatility hero. He's got a lot of everything, but doesn't really do a lot of tanking in general. Again, it mainly comes from things like Travelling Fair to heal up. But 1,000 health on a 8,000 health hero isn't as big as you'd think. It's more of a when you're not doing any fighting, use it to then get your health back while you're slowly regenerating. So yeah, Thorin is a good hero, don't get me wrong. Great hero, great tank. But there's only 9 tanks, so I've got to give some credit where it's due. These other tanks before him, after him, are just better. At number 8, we have Thranduil. Another bit of a mixed character, but has a lot more tankiness built into his kit, but also just through his faction can get quite tanky himself. So firstly, I'm going to talk about what Galadriel gives him with her gift, because we always have to talk about the gifts of Galadriel. So Royal Armor gives an additional row of palace guards for his shield wall. Doesn't exactly say he gets more armor from having the shield, from having the armor, but from just having that armor, she can now give him a full heal and a reset on his abilities. A fear effect around him can then make enemies near him deal no damage. And then also buildings in the vicinity of heroes with gifts of Galadriel are immune to fire. So we'll make that a small side note, all that extra stuff, because we won't be grading Thranduil on them. That's why he's a little bit lower than some others. His main things that make him tankier than, say, for example, Thorin in a one-on... Well, not on a one-on-one, because it's fairly certain he would lose in a one-on-one. But against a large horde of enemies, say, for example, 3 units of Elven units, he's got his Arcane Shield at level 3, which means he can take 10 hits, taking, I believe, next to no damage. We're going to find out in a second, before he... then has the shield depleted. You'll know when it's depleted because you'll hear a nice loud sound, and you'll know when it's back up because you'll see the aura around him. He can mount, which is a good way of getting into certain engagements to be a tank. And then there's obviously the shield wall, which grants Thranduil armor against ranged attacks for the duration, which is important for a melee character to have protection from ranged attacks, especially as a elf himself. But also, the main thing about this is the fact that they are palace guards with spears, and if you don't know, cavalry is the bane of some slow-moving heroes, because if they can't escape from a fight with cavalry, they're just dead. Cavalry can easily surround them, and cavalry damage is very lethal. So having a shield wall formation is very, very handy. Also, we can make a festival. You know, just this building here that heals you periodically while no enemies are nearby. But anyway, that's enough talk. Let's get into nitty gritty. He also has, at level 1, his 3 different stances. He can switch between having a staff open in his other hand, where he knocks back his enemy who he hits. He can take out his sword. So yeah, he does still take damage while he has his shield active, but but it wasn't as much as it is now. Let's summon that shield wall. And you can see that's very, very useful. And then eventually they'll just start attacking. And these are palace guards. These aren't pushover basic Merkwood units. These are Merkwood elites. And look at that healing as well. That's just healing from his festival. As long as there's no enemies nearby, that healing is substantial. It means that if there's any reprieve in the fight, Thranduil is going to be at very high health. Thranduil actually prefers to not be in prolonged combats for long. And I've now just found out the staff stance, because there's no AoE to it, it's just hitting one thing at a time, you're knocking down only one thing at a time. Which, granted, is better than some other heroes, against a heroic troop, for example. But how often are you going to find yourself with a high-level hero fighting the best of the best on his own? Not very likely. So the staff stance doesn't seem to be very good. Single sword stance if you want higher attack speed, which could be useful. Or you just want AoE because you're against a clump faction. You can just cut them down faster with the twin blades. So he's got a nice bit of mass slaying built into his kit at level 1. While also just being a generic tank. But yeah, the double shield wall is very useful. Definitely an ability you could get back quickly with a double shield wall. With Radiant Aid from Galadriel. So doing that, and yeah, those palace guards, they can save your heroes. If you keep them all together, the enemy cavalry just comes in, use Thranduil, double shield wall, or single shield wall if you've not got the gift yet. Boom. Your heroes are not only safe, their cavalry are doomed. At number 7, we have Arvedui, the last true king of Arnor before Aragorn returned in the Third Age. Well, at the end of the Third Age. And he is a wild card. Kind of similar to Thranduil in that he's got some weird things built into his kit. He's got diplomatic relations, which makes units cheaper when that come from settlements. So I can find these settlements. Yep, right here. You can get Edain really cheap. Guardians of Linden, I don't think that price reduction has come up yet. But also like Aranarth and Edain Ranger, again, I don't think that's come up yet because you don't have access to them. But if I was to quickly go to this marketplace and build all this up quickly, let's see if that actually works. Not all relevant, but I just wanted to find out. It doesn't work. Okay, no, it's only the heroes then.
I stand as your king.
Just the heroes, it seems. The units don't seem to have the capacity to have the cooldown reduction. The cooldown reduction, the cost reduction. Anyway, the main point of this is that Moddb has a summon as well, similar to Thranduil. But his summon is more versatile in the fact that it's basically the level 10 core reinforcements. You get a Gondor soldier, well, a basic soldier unit, spearman unit, archer, and cavalry unit. You get the 4 basic troops of your faction. You then get, a little bit earlier, a very, very powerful ability just in general. Not just a tank, but just in general. Anything in the area will be healed, gain experience and armor for a short time. But also Bulwark, where he can knocks back enemies for being around him. And then at level 1, the weaker he gets, the tougher he becomes to kill. But also allies are stronger while he is at full health. But again, it's another weird mix. And let's test him against our soldiers here. So first let's just use that Bulwark. And you can see everyone's just getting constantly knocked back. And they are dying. Oh. Huh. But yeah, look at that heal as well. Yeah, Moddb is a force to be feared on the battlefield. He has the same knockback ability as Boromir. That Bulwark ability got buffed, I'm fairly certain. I've never seen that happen before. I thought it just did no damage. I thought it always did no damage. But, you know, I don't get to play Arnor a lot, so that's interesting. But yeah, he's only really got the 3 abilities that actually give him the tankiness. One is a weird cost reduction, and another one is a summon, which, yeah, summons are good to survive, but they're not, as I said already at the beginning, they're not a direct aspect of his tankiness. They can keep him alive by directing for enemies away, but it's not the same as actually... oh, wow, that power came back quick. Okay, Moddb got big buffed. Still think he's at number 7, though. But who's at number 6? Well, if you couldn't guess, I'll give you a hint. It's just the other version of this guy that I just talked about. At number 6, we have Boromir. And yes, he is basically the counterpart of Moddb for Arnor. Now, Boromir before didn't have as many tanky tools as he did now. He got a few shadow buffs that even I was unaware of until I actually read all his tooltips. So his last stand ability now has 2 other things that are actually known about what the ability does. Last stand now gives Boromir more damage, slows enemies around him, and he can't be knocked down for the time. So even when he's on death's door, he is not afraid to keep fighting and being that tank, which does put him higher on the list than he would be, say for example, Moddb or Thranduil or Thorin, who are good at defending themselves in a moment, and then that moment's over, and then they've just got to survive a bit more. Boromir does that for free. Obviously, it means you don't have to get by him back. It is annoying when Boromir dies, but at least you have some insurance that you won't lose everything else if Boromir is the first to go. But he's got a few things in his kit that does keep him alive, including the Horn of Gondor, which again got a shadow buff, where it now gives all ally units and heroes on the map bonus speed for 15 seconds. Another way of just running things away, or running things into conflict. He's actually got a lot of good tanky tools. And then also just bonus armor. It doesn't say for himself, it just says troops nearby. It does say he gets heavy armor, but that is mostly just a cosmetic change. It doesn't actually say if he does get a buff. Then his Brave Resistance for massive armor and immunity to knockback. And then also the Veterans of Osgiliath, which again was changed back from being similar to what Moddb had, some upgraded basic troops, you now actually get Osgiliath veterans. So even his summon is better than Arbordui's in some ways. But also, I'm going to have to put my money where my mouth is. So let's get that shield out, Boromir. And just look at that. Okay, apparently they're also being debuffed in some way. And defies all enemies. Yeah, his attack is a proper like AoE knockback. He's not got a bulwark ability like Arborduin, but he does have everyone's favourite. Just make everyone feared. Nope. Okay, calm down, Boromir. But of course, everyone's favourite. Just had to do it. It felt right to just summon the Osgiliath veterans. And if they could stop still for a second, I can see if they're level 5 or not. Oh, it doesn't even tell me. Okay. So I still don't know if these are level 5. I'm assuming they're not. But yeah, Boromir, great tank hero for just a great faction in general. But also, you also get him for Belfalas, which is really good too. And then there's ring form version of Boromir, which I'm not going to go into a lot. But yeah, ring hero Boromir is just ridiculous. We all know it. If you don't believe me, watch my last skirmish video. It's just so stupid how one ring hero could just turn the entire game into a, well, all my units are upgraded now kind of game. But yeah, Boromir, great tank hero without the ring, great hero with just being on his own. He can withstand more damage than most heroes in the game. But there are 5 heroes I think that do better than him in the tank department. At number 5, we have the Shadow Lord. And I will admit, this was a very weird choice when I first thought about it. But then I realised he is actually an amazing tank. His abilities, if you look at his abilities, firstly, the Visage of the Shadow Lord. Nearby enemies lose all leadership bonuses as well as 10% damage and armor. So already, a bunch of buffs are being knocked off. The nearer they are, the less damage they deal, up to 50% if they are standing in front of him. For each additional Nazgul in the area, the damage and armor lost increases by 5%. That bit doesn't really matter so much. But the fact that you're halving the damage that you take as a Shadow Lord is already insane. You then have a Morgul Blade, which can make a Lesser Wraith, which then can turn into a Wretched Wraith. And Wretched Wraiths, when they lose health, when they take damage, that life force goes into the Nazgul, which is a nice little tanky feature, which obviously affects all the Nazgul. But obviously, we're talking just about the Shadow Lord here. A 4,600 health hero compared to, say, a 7,000 health Boromir or Thranduil or Thorin may seem a bit obscure. He's only got Screech, which all Nazgul have. But then this is where things get ridiculous. Level 10, Curse of the Shadow Lord. The Shadow Lord surrounds himself with dreadful magic, which harms everyone who dares to attack him. 50% of any damage dealt to the Shadow Lord will be reflected. Any type. So we've got some orcs here. I'm going to clump them up good and proper so we can have them all attack him at once. Or at least try to. This might work, this might not work. Let's find out. Nah, this will work. So let's pay close attention to each and every one of their health pools. So firstly, the Shadow Lord's going in. He's going to Morgul Blade one of them. Yeah, look at their health. Look at the Shadow Lord's health. How it's barely moving, and then look at these guys' healths. Just attacking the Shadow Lord is killing them. And the weird thing is, if they were at range, they'd be doing double damage, but then half of that would be reflected back at them. And again, we've got the enslaved souls to then make wretched wraiths, where if they take damage, which the Shadow Lord's health should be going up soon. Because yeah, any life the Morgul Shadow loses will be transferred to nearby Nazgul. And yeah, look how fast that Morgul Blade comes back as well. So you're just making a bunch of the little tools just to keep throwing around. But yeah, Shadow Lord is not classified as a defensive unit. I think he should be. He's got a bunch of tools that just makes him a very, very, very strong tank. Obviously, against like a hero killer, you might think, oh, he's just going to die. But then you have to remember, any damage. Thorin Stonehelm could end up knocking himself off the face of the earth if he was to deal with a Shadow Lord. It's actually stupid how good this ability actually is. And yes, it's level 10, but you don't need to have the Shadow Lord on from the beginning of the game for him to be level 10. You just need to level up Sauron, which is way easier than getting a hero to level 10, believe me. Believe me, in most situations, you're better off just getting Sauron to level 10 than wasting time trying to get anything else to level 10. So yeah, Shadow Lord, really good. He should be considered a defensive hero because he is a monster on his own. Imagine him with an army where he's just going to get stuck in. Things aren't going to attack him as much, true. But the things that do attack him are going to regret ever coming near him. At number 4, we have Ugluk. A hero who originally was a little bit cheaper than Lurtz. But then, after people just playing around with Ugluk, realizing, wait, this guy is so much better than Lurtz in nearly every single category. Why is he cheaper? So the Edain team got to giving him a little bit of a hammer, making him a bit more expensive. But his abilities have never changed. Just his first ability, a 40% flat heal. In an AoE, but notice himself with all Urukai, which is really good. A movement speed bonus with a resistance to knockback. It can be useful when being a tank. But then it's this ability, Bloodthirst, where things get a little bit wacky. He gains life points equivalent to the damage he inflicts on enemies. True, it's only 268. But then you have to consider some multipliers. So basic Urukai, for example, have basic melee armor stats. I'm fairly certain that hero damage, they take more damage. So that 268 is going to be building up to a bit more than that. And their health to start with is 493. It then also has a armor gain for all nearby Uruks, and they can summon a bunch of hunters along with Morher.
I will lead you.
So let's get to testing. I'm not sure how well he's going to do here. This is going to be an odd test. I'm not fully convinced that Ugluk can take all this on his own, but let's find out. Gotta have faith. Make him mad. Yeah, he's holding his own. Doing a one-hit, one-kill at the moment, I think. And yeah, it's not like I've been giving the other characters a good fight to go against. Ugluk is a good, very good hero. And yeah, that heal, that extra heal, and then some of the extra hunter buddies to the field, where then it can just do more damage. Yeah, Ugluk himself is a good hero. He just mostly need, but yeah, Auric Hunters, I'm realising these guys are just better than I've been given credit for in the past. These Auric Hunters are definitely better than some of the things I've been throwing against the other heroes. Yeah, don't let this discredit you to think I'm actually just talking nonsense and Ugluk isn't actually as good as he is. He is good. Put him against a bunch of different things, he can still tank really well. Obviously, surround him, and then he will just die, as most heroes do. But he doesn't have, like, AoE knockback like Boromir and Arthur do we have. He doesn't have damage negation like the Shadow Lord has. But he does have healing, and healing is very important. Because, especially in between fights. Like we talked about with Thranduil, with his festival, he can just get a bunch of healing in between fights. Ugluk can do the healing in the fight, which can make people think that they need to throw more force at him, or run away from him because they can't take him out. Yeah, don't underestimate this hero. Just because he's not as expensive as the other heroes, and it's not as tanky in other aspects does not mean he himself is not just as good, if not better than them. And again, it was Urukai monsters we were going up against. I said at the beginning I wasn't sure how it was going to play out. Turned out it wasn't the best. But believe me when I say he does just as well as the other heroes, if not better, because of his ability to just sustain himself in combat. And they do come back quite regularly. His summon as well is also really good. 2,000 health on a single summon is... oh, it's just good. How am I targeting this? Excuse me? Game, explain. At number 3, we have Harmer. And unlike Ugluk, I'm more confident about this one. He has a lot of really powerful tanking tools in just his 2 abilities. Indefatigable. As long as Harmer is in combat, nearby allies regenerate health points slowly. Forget about the fact it just says slowly. Regenerate health points in combat. No other hero in the game can do this as a passive. It has to be an active ability. Arvidui has to be active. Ugluk needs to be swinging or using the active. After using his other active, even. Like, no other hero just has base into their kit, just while fighting, not even swinging, not even doing damage. Just having someone, an enemy touching you, gives you and everyone nearby healing. Makes him one of the weirdest supports, but also incredibly tanky if you merge it with Untamed Might, which gets stronger over time. It starts at 5 seconds, it starts at 10 seconds, then 20 seconds, and at level 10 comes Untamed Might. For 30 seconds, he takes almost no damage from enemy attacks. I will note, however, when he's on his mount, he still takes full revenge damage, so be aware of that. He also has Side by Side to actually give another hero bonus damage and armor, while also gaining either can't be slowed, trampled, or knocked down. Gains more experience, more damage against heroes, increased vision range and movement speed. So a bunch of like really weird things, and then you also get a summon of some royal archers. But again, that's more of a general support tool than anything else. But let's get that extra damage. And let's test out what he does against these peasants that have been drafted. So I'll give him a bit of a challenge, but nowhere near as much of a challenge I gave Ugluk. So currently, he's taking a very minuscule amount of damage. You can see he's got the healing aura on him though, so he is healing. So now we've seen he's taking some damage. Let's turn on Indefatigable, Untamed Might even. So now you can see he's taking next to no damage, and he's healing for about the same amount. He's also got the AoE knockback attacks of Boromir and Arvidui, which is very important. But yeah, for 30 seconds, to take next to no damage is really good. And then if we want to just add in some extra killing potential, we can summon a whole unit of technically heroic tier units with the Royal Archers, which you can actually get as a unit from the Edros map as Rohan. But yeah, just healing slowly over time can really help in a long, prolonged fight. The Untamed Might ability comes back off cooldown like every minute. So once you've got to level 10, you can just constantly have that rolling off. And then also side by side, just constantly getting a different buff on Harmer is really good, as well as just buffing other things in general. He's just a really good hero in general. Not to mention he's a good tank. He's just a great hero. Honestly, better on foot than he is on a mount, which is hard to say for most other Rohan heroes. Only him and Gamling, I suggest, don't have on a mount because of they're just better working together with peasants. Because yeah, this ability is not busted. It's been nerfed, I'm fairly certain, in one way or another. But yeah, that healing during combat can give you a massive advantage. If your opponent is not expecting it in a brawl, then they're going to quickly fall behind. Because yeah, just having that along with a near invulnerability for 30 seconds, it just blows Foreign's ability out of the water. Granted, hero killers are still going to take you out. That's not going to change. But you can also have a tool to just get out of a precarious situation if you needed to. As well as just having the increased movement speed with Gamling, which again, is a hero you're more likely to be working side by side with. Get it? Side by side. At number 2, we have Glorfindel. That's right, main guy is back. I did say already he is a mass slayer. He is. But I also have to admit, he is a really, really good tank. Yes, he's got probably more mass slaying tools in his kit with things like collect starlight. But while we're just talking, I'm going to quickly level him up because I forgot to do that before before I started this part. But yeah, if you could just consider his other abilities, like for example, Wind Rider, more speed, more armor for a short time. While he's mounted, he actually has more tank tools than mass slayer tools. Because as we showed in the last ranking video, on foot when he's using his Blade of Silver ability, or whatever it's called,
Well done, my friend.
he is a bit more damage oriented with an AoE attack. But also, as I mentioned with Collect Starlight in the past, yes, it can be used as an AoE ability, but if you hold on to it for 30 seconds, just restoring hit points, which is really, really handy. On top of, you know, every 15 seconds, just prevent any damage automatically. Just nothing. For every 15 seconds, he'll be completely protected from an enemy attack or ability automatically. Just done. And unlike Thranduil, it doesn't have an aura, so you don't know, they don't know. Nobody knows when it's active. One of the most strange and honestly busted abilities in the game, Light of Hope. All nearby enemies will be continuously paralyzed with fear for 30 seconds as he becomes illuminated in his wrath, blazing brilliantly and terribly. All enemies who dare raise arms against him will feel fear.
Nothing shall stand before us.
So we've got a nice large contingent of enemies here, just to prove our point. Let's make sure they're all nicely clumped up so they all get the effect and don't try to kill each other first. So, firstly, Noralin. And then, it was hard to tell that one instance of no damage. But now, just look. Takes no damage whatsoever for 30 seconds. But obviously, you have to keep the enemies in the light to stop them from attacking. They can't be trampled in this time either. Which is actually... Oh no, they can be. Yeah, let's just run Glorfindel away for a bit. And then just run him back in. Okay, so that's now run out. We can now start collecting Starlight. And now we're a tank that is healing. Look at the heal! I didn't even realise how big that healing was. And this is for 30 seconds. Honestly, this ability alone could put him at level 1. If it weren't for the fact... You can use it as an AoE. Just blow things away. And again, does Noralin, so you take even less damage. Glorfindel just has a constant spree of very powerful abilities that makes him one of the best defensive heroes in the game. Not a lot can beat this tank. Honestly. It takes a good amount to fight Glorfindel. And this is all just on his own. You would never have Glorfindel on his own. You'd either have him with a contingent of riders, or you'd have him on foot with a bunch of enlarged troops like what I normally do. But yeah, collecting Starlight, that healing is insane. I didn't realise how good it was until today, because I normally never really use it to heal. I just use it to kill things in an AoE. Turns out, you're probably better off not even using the AoE unless you're fighting as a clump faction, because yeah, 3 units of Dunedain soldiers and 2 wandering companies. I say that's about as strong as the forces that Ugluk was fighting, and Ugluk was not doing very well. Yeah, Glorfindel, really good tank. Really, really good. But there is one that beats him, and I know what people are going to wonder. Why was he not in any of the other videos? Because he technically could be a hero killer and a mass slayer. But no, he is by far the tankiest hero in the game, and has probably been since... before Edain, even, but back in Rise of the Witch King Vanilla. In his own little way, he had a good bit of tankiness, but they evolved it. At number 1, we have Karsh. And oh boy, he became one of my favourite Angmar heroes, which is hard to say, because I love every Angmar hero. Not equally, of course. But yeah, Karsh is That one Barrow White that just does not die. And I mean that literally. You have to not just kill him once, you have to kill him twice. His first ability, Chill Soul, he just drains health for all damage he deals as life force. So he's got Ugluk's ability, a little bit weaker, but at level 1 and a passive. He also just reduces the damage of enemies in the vicinity by 30% for 20 seconds. So already he's weakening them like what the Shadow Lord could do. But not only that, if he was to be killed, he will rise again at 25% HP. And then he has to be killed in the next 25 seconds, or the ability just does it all over again. He then has a paralyzing effect, similar to Boromir's Horn of Gondor, in a mini teleport, which could be very life-saving, either to get him out or into a situation. He can summon his own little crypt, which I didn't realise it had a Barrow Guardian. But also in the area, Karshia nearby whites just deal more damage. So yeah, that's a thing they added in. That's a shadow buff. They gave a Barrow White to the to your little white layers. You then get the voice of the Barrow White, where enemies in the vicinity of a selected crypt, barrow, or tomb, and what that means is either the Barrow White lair from your base, the crypts from settlements, or Karsha's own little tunnel network building. Just target one of them for 10 seconds. Something does half of their damage. Again, another very similar to Shadow Lord ability. Similar to Boromir ability as well. And then finally, Soul Thief. The Whispering Dread of Angmar steadily withdraws a light of life of his victims. Enemy units nearby are permanently damaged and transfuse their health to Karsh. Karsh is slowed 50% of the duration of this ability. So, yeah. Put all that into account, and remember I said about how Glorfindel was really good and cool and powerful? Just roll that up to 11, because Karsh does not care. He is the ultimate tank, and we're going against elite troops here just to further prove my point on this. So already, making them run away and just fear me. One hit is not enough to kill them, but it is enough to make them weaker. Yeah, the Barrow White is joining me. I can't help it. What are you going to do about it? He's just as survivable as me. And then the Soul Thief ability. So you can just watch their health is slowly being drained from them. You know, a casual thing that Angmar just does all the time. And his health is not moving. It is not moving. It's going up and then back down and then back up again. And yeah, this ability is still going. If they were near the Barrow White lair, I could be using this to then make them even weaker. But yeah, yes, he's got a slight Mass Slayer attribute to him with things like Soul Thief. Yes, he could be a Hero Slayer with abilities similar to Soul Thief. But is he a Hero Killer? No, he's too slow for a Hero Killer. Is he a Mass Slayer? No, because enemies just run away from that very slow dot effect. He is by far, though, the tankiest hero in the game, and honestly has one of the biggest fear factors in the game. You cannot really kill him. All you can do is wait him out or run away from him. If he's running away from you, that is your reason to attack him and then kill him. But you can't easily mistake him for a bunch of the Barrow Whites that are just constantly going around. And it's a shame that Barrow Whites themselves are not as strong as Kosh is. As ridiculous as and buzzed as that would be. But yeah, 400 damage, 7,000 health. I can't think of a hero that is better at being defensive, being tanky, than Karsh. He does it all. He does pretty much everything that I've talked about this entire video of every other hero. He does all of it in one package. And you know what the weird fucking thing is? It could be better.
I will lead you.
This ability of his could actually be better if we get some more power points. And we go down to Stronghold of the Iron Crown. Hold on, I really need to show this. Just to further accentuate the point that this is the best tank hero in the game. I will hear no disputes. Because you cannot prove that he is not the best tank hero in the game. When he has further upgrades through the Citadel. Karsh, let's see. Will be healed by 75% of his damage dealt. Remember how I was talking about Ugluk doing half of the damage that Karsh does, and but getting all his health back, that ability of 20% becomes 75%. 3/4 of his damage dealt, 400. He's getting 300 health back every hit. At least. If things are weaker, they take even more damage, and then they die even faster. And Angmar is known to just reduce enemy damage and increase their own damage by bucket loads. So yes, Karsh is the best. I dare you to find a hero that is tankier than Karsh. True, a foreign Stoneham will just walk up to him and beat him in one hit. And no one can stop that. But an army can get easily slowed down by Karsh. And unless it's a fully upgraded, like, largest elf level quality army, it's not getting past him. Similar to Glorfindel, you're not beating this guy. He is built different. I hope you've all enjoyed. And I will see you all in the next one. Farewell.